a webinar about Go Solar and what are the incentives, tax credit there is. So we talked a lot of items, and one of the key things I know you want to know, it is about the dollar amount. How exactly Go Solar would impact your pocket. Generally speaking, folks, you will never, hardly any of the people I know can go on solar 100% paid by the government or 100% paid by certain rebate or incentives. That is a good wish, but it normally do not happen. But what really become an incentive for folks is to feel good about, right? To use green energy and to save fossil oils and all of these things. So giving that as a, if you have ability to do that, if you happen to need replace your water heaters, why not? Why not consider some efficiency measures, get some tax incentives, get some feel-good reasons, right? So now today, we are going to put that into dollars. So I will go through the forms and show you how exactly that works. The biggest dollar come back to you for certain, it is still the federal tax credit. So let's go about it, and I will start with the PowerPoint. Oh, in fact, let me start with our Community CPA's website. That's our website. When you have, if you want to start doing solar, making improvement at your home, and you're not sure how that impacts your taxes and your pocket, and you can make appointment with us, come over here on our website. If you click on the appointment, the partners are listed right here for you. And you know our specialties, and so you can click us and select our calendar and make appointment from here. And other than that, there's people could not make 3 p.m. They just can't. 3 p.m. is their nap time. Actually, I have a little bit difficulties for the afternoon after, a very quick trip to China with a jet lag, and I couldn't really figure out what to do with my afternoon. So I would sleep at 3 p.m. if I'm not on the webinar. But here you see, if you're not on the 3 p.m. webinar, you can come to YouTube channel, Community CPA YouTube channel, and you will find what I was talking about right here, okay? All right, so let's go take a look at our slides that I prepared for you. And Go Solar, how does that impact my pocket? And yes, it does impact your pocket. And you know me, and I am the founder and managing partner for Community CPA. I served on the Federal Advisory Committee for IRS for 3 years. And I have this book on the internet called Appointment with Ying at 8 a.m. And then I also have my second book coming out. In fact, I just did the cover picture this weekend. I hope it is going to come out great, because this 10 a.m. book, I want it to be a different picture instead of just like the 8 a.m. Then you're not going to even pay attention to the book, because this is a second book, teaches people how to grow their business. So it is coming up, and soon, for sure this year, the writing part is already done. It's just the final cover page, and we need to have a nice picture of me on it. All right, no responsibility disclaimers, and you know what I'm talking about. So let's talk about John. So John did a rooftop solar for his house. So now I'm not going to say whether John lives where, and I will give 3 states example: Iowa, Minnesota, and California. The reason I do 3 states only is because those are the states, our branches are in those states. So we have more clients in those states, and so they would want to know. But now I'm talking about John, and look what he did. And the house is a primary residence. This is important. You can't get that credit if it is not your primary residence. But that doesn't need to be your only residence. You could have a second home where that would also qualify. So just make it clear. And this primary residence that he has, what he did it, he spent $8,000 for 6-panel solar panels. Then, then he paid $12,000 to install the panels. So total cost for that rooftop solar system is $20,000. Then because he's doing the rooftop solar system, so he also replaced the regular water heaters with the solar water heater, and that was $5,000. Now, and while they were on top of the roof fixing his house, doing solar panels, they noticed that the skylight window that he has a crack in there. So he replaced it with an efficiency model of the window, helping to prevent the heat loss. So that one is $2,000. Then he also paid $300 labor cost to install a high-efficiency electric heat pump. So this is what he did in 2023. So now let's look at when he did this and time to come to do his personal tax return, what should John do at this point? So I am showing you, I hope you can see it really well. I'm showing you a form called 5695. This is a residential energy credit form. I know I am putting out 2022. It won't have a lot of changes for 2023. There would be a change for sure to add one more item under battery. So right now, if you look at the item 125 right here, there is nothing to say about battery, right? But in 2023, battery storage system also came in. So there will be one more line for that one. And so you can put your dollar amount in there. So for example, John could add another $5,000 in the battery storage system for his house. So if he did that, then he would be taking $5,000 more in here. So look at the numbers. What is that 20,000? That 20,000 is the 8,000 for the 6 panels plus installation. So that's the 20,000 on solar project. So that goes on the line number 1. Line number 2, it is a qualified solar water heating property cost. I know, English is my second language. So I sometimes sensitive in certain things. I am not sure people who are native speaking English would be sensitive. But I do know people speak English as a second language really tuned in with what I would be like a little bit unsure. I want to clarify because I don't want you to get really confused with the word of property here. And when you look at the property here, I am worried about you thinking about a house. No, that's not a house. They're just talking about asset. They're talking about something last for a long time. They're talking about something could have your title, your name as the title. Like it is something worthwhile, something worth money. And the property could be anything. Your jewelry is your property, and your microwave at home is your property. So with that said, and look at the form, you will be more relaxed. You will be like, oh yeah, I have that. I have qualified solar electronic property cost. That's the 20,000. What is the 5,000? The 5,000 is the water heater, that solar powered water heater. So it goes there too. So came into the 5,000 right here. So we add it up, become a $25,000 total. That is your out-of-pocket money. You paid that, okay? You don't get that back. That money is gone. But the government says that, hold on for a moment. We give you 30% back. So they're calculating 30% of that $25,000. So it is what? $7,500. So I want you to remember this number with me. And the form 5695 has 2 pages. This is page 1, is related to solar, related to that clean energy credit. On the page 2, folks, they also have this improvement credit. So what is it? This is not a lot. The maximum is $500. But look at what I did here. So in John's spending, he fixed his window, skylight window, because that one is leaking the heat. So he fixed it. That's $2,000. And he also paid $300 labor to install this high efficiency heat pump. And with that said, and when I come back to the form, you see how I put the $2,000 in here. I put the $300 in here. And with the elimination, the $2,000, that only 10% you can use. So $200 is maximum. That's on line 21, folks. Did you see that? That's a 10% of that skylight window. So you can make that $20,000, but only it is maximum. It is the 10%, right? So then you have this $300. This is the labor. Remember to fix to do this heat pump, but this $300 is the most you can claim. Even if it costs you $30,000, you can only put in $300. So the maximum for that year 2023 is $500. So remember earlier we had tax credit already for how much, folks? For $7,500. Did you remember that? I come back to this page. Look at the line 15. Isn't that $7,500? So you got that. Then the second page give you how much? The second page give you another $500. So $7,500 plus $500. You got $8,000 tax credit. Remember I said to you that this kind of tax credit is non-refundable, which means that if you didn't pay more than that much of income tax, you don't get it. So let's look at what John's situation is. So John makes W-2 income for $112,000, okay? And you see that he's single, so his AGI is $99,050. So on the second page, and you see that the IRS calculated he owed $17,614 income tax. But did you notice there is $8,000 coming in and reduce the $17,614 down to line 24, total tax and $9,614. Didn't you see that? Did you see that, right? But it's a W-2 income, so the employer already withheld a lot of tax from him. The total withholding was $19,600. So use $19,600 minus $9,614. So the guy gets $9,986 refund back because he paid taxes, right? He paid taxes, so that's why he got it back. What if his withholding is zero? And if his withholding is zero, he needs to pay $9,614. Because that $8,000 is only going to reduce his tax liability because he has a tax liability, right? He has a $17,614 tax liability. But what if the guy doesn't have any tax liability? That $8,000 will be saved to the future. So you will get that back later on when you have a liability. So you see that's how the federal tax works, right? So this is the $8,000. How is the $8,000 came to line 20? How did that come? And you may, if you use software doing your taxes, and you'll be like, oh, I don't know how you put that number in. How I put that number in? I put that number in from Schedule 3. Under Schedule 3, line 5, that form 5695 is being laid out as a one line. So you are going to fill up the form, this form. You're going to fill up 5695, then it will carry that total. 7,500 plus the page 2, 500, give us 8,000. So we put in the 8,000 right here under line 5, Schedule 3. That will give us back into the 1040 and reduce our tax liability by $8,000. This is the cash in. So you think of all the money you spend. This $8,000 reduces the money you spend. Then you may say, well, it didn't even reduce a lot of it, only 30%. I don't really know, I cares. But it's better than you not getting any tax credit, right? So I think it's still worth doing. $8,000 is not a small amount. Don't you agree? So now let's look at John. If he lives in Iowa. If John lives in Iowa, the federal taxes we just talked about, no change. It's still that way, right? So now we're going to file Iowa tax. So what did Iowa has on the solar energy? Iowa says that in 2023 tax return, you will not see any changes whether you have a solar credit or not. So it doesn't matter what you spend. Iowa don't have tax credit for you, and your Iowa tax return is paying the same amount of taxes whether you did solar project or not. So makes sense, right? So your $56.95 has no impact for Iowa tax return. That's number one. Number two, when you purchase that $8,000 solar panel, you need to know that Iowa exempt sales tax out of it. So if you got your invoice from the people who install your solar panel, charges you a sales tax, you say, hello, by Iowa regulation, I should not pay sales tax. So there is a $560 saving for you, right? And Iowa also promised the value when you put in solar panel and your property go up in value, the value of your property going up would not be taxed by property tax for 5 years. That's Iowa's promise. And then after you have the solar panel installed, after you got into this net meter, you apply for that and you got accepted, then you will be seeing a credit reversing your utility bill on your monthly statement. It's not going to be a check. It is just going to be a credit on your monthly statement. Show you that, oh God, you got $100 credit. And so your utility bill was $400, now it's $300. So that is what Iowa provides. Now, what if John lives in Minnesota? All right, Minnesota, same thing. Filing 5695, that form does not do anything. So Minnesota individual tax returns still be the same. There's no impact. Whether you are solar installed or not, you pay same taxes. So John don't see any difference on the Minnesota tax return. But Minnesota also exempt the sales tax. So you should see a saving. Minnesota and Iowa, depends on which part of Iowa you live, and your sales tax could be 7%, could be more than 7%, 7.5, so on. And the same thing with Minnesota, depends on where you live. So let's use 7%, which is the average rate. And 7%, you save $560. All right. And the property will not be increased after you install solar panel in Minnesota. There's no year mark on it. It just says we won't increase. The value of your property increased because you got a solar panel installed, but we don't consider that. And we don't assess property tax on that. That's what Minnesota is doing. And Minnesota also doing net metering with Xcel Energy. And this one, you will see that on your bill, which means that the credit will show up on your bill and you visualize it. You see that right away. If your energy bill is $100 and your credit is $100, then you don't pay any energy bill. So they have that as well. And with net metering, you will see a credit on your bill. Then, in addition to that, John, because he lives in Minnesota, and we would encourage him to go ahead apply for this SolarSense, a lottery-based reimbursement. Could reimburse most of his installation fees is what? That is the $12,000. Okay? So make sure that you apply. See, I put the phone number on there, and I put the link on there for you. If you are Minnesotan, and you're supposed to know all of these incentives that you have in your state. All right, makes sense, right? And I also want to say that let's say John did get the lottery-based incentive. So they paid him $12,000 on that installation fee. Remember, John's installation was 8,000 solar panel, 12,000 installation. So if he did that, and when he put in his 5695 form, what do you think he should put under the line 1? Should that be 20,000, 8,000 plus 12,000, or that number should be 8,000? That number should be 8,000. Okay, so you don't want to double dip. If you already got reimbursed, make sure that you reduce the amount when you file your tax return. And our tax return is due next year, April. By then, you already know whether you have that incentives or not. And by the way, important thing to remember, you have to finish installation. You cannot be like, oh, I do half this year, next year half. No, you have to completely finish your installation, then you will go for the credit. All right, now, our last but not the least, John lives in Capitola, California. So California is really interesting. California is huge. And the municipals, the energy companies, multiple energy companies, and the county, state, city, they all can have incentives to provide to the residents in that area for solar green initiative. So number one, I just want you to know that the California no sales tax exemption for solar panel. If you're using it for personal use, your residence is in California, when you buy that solar panel, your $8,000 will be more. So it will be sales tax imposed purchase. Property tax exclusion, same. And it doesn't really, the exclusion excludes the solar energy system and the storage system. The storage system, they're talking about the batteries, the storage system. And California also have this amazing self-generation incentive program. And this one is a battery storage program that when you put in the solar panels and you also install a storage panel, and then in that green words you saw that for projects 30 kilowatt or larger, 50% of incentive will be received up front. The other 50 will be received in the first 5 years. But if you are below the 30 kilowatt, and then 100% incentive will be paid up front, you're probably going to ask me that, oh, I don't know what that mean. And I'll just tell you that in California, the average consumer usage is 20 kilowatts. So that just tells you that most of the people, when you are doing battery storage program, you should look into self-generation incentive program that is administrated by this the council, by this, I suddenly forgot that abbreviation. I'll show you because I have that website pulled up. And so they are administrating this program. If you just search as a skip, you just search SGIP California, it will tell you where to apply and what to look for. Okay, so for Capitola, California, and there is also a financing program given by Western Riverside Council of Government. You see how this localized support, and also they offer low-income, disadvantaged community cash upfront for adopting green energy. So if your income is lower, your household income is lower than 56 with change, I don't remember the change, with 56K, say lower than 50K, and then you would qualify for subsidy, so you don't have to pay everything out of pocket, and it's just for Californians. There's no other state have that, it's just California. Then, of course, net meter is another one. So you get paid by your energy company and, to save your money, electricity bill. But they got this new net meter 3.0, not 2.0. And they actually reduced, in the way they reduced how much to credit you, but it's still massive. It's still very relevant when you are getting solar panels, other than the 30% you already see you save on the federal side, and you will have this ongoing net meter saving that helps you out. So I had one calculation I look at. It's like takes 20 years to catch up on total expenses. So no, I don't think you need to pay too much attention of those small amounts getting deposited back to you, but just know your cash flow for the year. Because when you are paying $20,000 out to do a solar panel installation, and you want to know that you actually will get $8,000 back. So your real cost is what? It's actually $12,000, right? So with that said, I want to draw your attention to this web link I got here for you. So if you are a Californian, obviously you don't live in Capitola, even though our branch is there. And so you actually can check this website. So I will stop the slideshow, but bring you to the website. So this is the website you're looking at. It's called EcoWatch. And you know how the URL, you see how I put Capitola on the back already? So you can put your city on the back, then it pull up everything that is relevant to you. And, to prove that point, if you go down this list, you can see that they even give you the federal one. The federal government, I saw a lot of state, when they talk about solar energy benefit, they talk about this 30% as if it is theirs. No, that's a federal government money, and it is not the state giving you. So, but you see, in the EcoWatch, they listed everything. So if you could go through this due diligence and just look at each item to make sure that, oh yes, I can apply for this, yes, I can apply for that, then you maximize your dollars, right? So that is my whole point in terms of like when you get into green initiative, get excited, didn't know how much out of your pocket you would be shouldering, and you need to come over to this website. Californians, please look at what's available to you, calculate what you can get, and then you know your net cash out, right? And a lot of time you still have to have the cash out first. You don't get those incentives until you spend it. Then there's a financing option, just like the Western Riverside Council of Government. They have finance option for you, so you can, go through to apply for money to do your solar program, then get all these incentives and then pay back the loans, right? All right, this is today, my dear, and I hope that you learned some. This is a follow-up of my Saturday talk, and it can't go on too long on Saturday. It's 1 hour, but that was just enough to cover all of the things we need to talk about. So today is on the numbers. So before I close, I come back to to our PowerPoint. What I want to show you is, let me just pull up my PowerPoint. What I want to show you is to make sure that you know this form. I go all the way back to the form because this is the most important form you need to know and learn. All right, and I will talk to you again. And on Saturday, if you have any idea, desire, and you want to learn more of things and you are not quite sure, this is the place to contact us. And you can contact Catherine. And our last slide is her information. Catherine at communitycpa.com, our number. Oh, by the way, we are the only CPA firm on the planet open 6 days a week. Just keep that in mind. And I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.